Hi, I'm Jasmine and I'm a large format TSM in Winnipeg, Manitoba. My mentor is Gord Clooney. He's the Zone Sales Director out of Manitoba, Saskatchewan. My manager is Sean LeBreton, and he's the Regional Sales Director out of Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Hi, my name is Brandon Smoley. I'm the Western Wiring Cam for Walmart, Loblaws, and Shoppers Drug Mart. My mentor is Chris Kachuk. He is the Director of Retail for the Frito-Lay side. Mark Hess is my boss. He's the Director of Retail for the beverages side. He works at the Calgary branch as well.
So in order to drive 5% cold drink growth in large format, the first thing I had to do was understand how do we do that. So I met with Kevin Guthrow, he was my mentor as part of this KDA, to understand, okay, what are my overlaps, what are the CDA restrictions, and how do I balance short-term versus long-term sustainability. Once I could do that, I could sit down with this team, say what is going to be realistic. So what is it that we can actually do at a Walmart? What can we do at a superstore? And how are we going to impact cold drink growth at a Safeway? What we did was we sat down and we said, okay, first of all, what is cold drink? Does the PCR team actually understand what that is? So does this drive cold drink? Yes, it does. Does this drive cold drink? Yeah, absolutely it does. But does this drive cold drink? No, because this is a take-home package. So as long as they could understand how do I drive cold drink, what are the products, we could go from there. So what we did was we implemented it as a key fundamental in our weekly meetings. So we would sit down and say, okay, where are we at from year-to-date standpoint? So at that point, we were down 3%. So we said, okay, our goal is to grow 5. We talked about that in weekly meetings. We talked about it in our one-on-ones. We went through reports, I&I reports, as well as Canvas reporting, as well as talked about it when we were actually in the trade on RevRex. So a couple things to think about. Is the planogram set? Is it the key products that we want to have available? Is the cooler in prime location, and how are we actually doing versus our competitor? Does our competitor have 3 versus our 2? Because if they have 3 and we have 2, we're not winning. We need to win in the market. So if we can get 3 to their 2, that's what we want to see. We want to see planogram execution. I'm really excited to tell you that as of P9 week 4, we're actually growing at 7% on cold drink.
So what I've been doing is really working with the field on driving the Better Together agenda. I've been coaching the field on understanding the power of bringing the Pepsico beverages and Frito-Lay Foods, our brands, together, and the benefits at store level. So research shows when we get that Frito-Lay and Pepsi in the basket, that basket's going to grow by 60%. So an average basket in a large farm would be $52. It's going to grow to that $82. So that's been a big play for the large format team. And it's really taking that Frito-Lay family size bag of chips and that Pepsi 2-liter, and how do we get them to display together in a store at the front and really drive the basket. If we put our small format lens on, it's really helping the customer drive dollars to their till. So if a customer was to come and buy a $2.40 $5.91 milk drink, by putting a Better Together package beside one another, we can help drive that customer drive another $1.50 at their till. So that's what really it is working in a Better Together capacity and helping drive basket in large format and rings to the till in small format.
So one of the things I've been working on this year is collaborating and influencing with the warehouse team to drive growth in our unionized stores through pre-built pallets. We recognized there was an opportunity for Pepsi pallets like this to turn them into pre-built and offer more flavor opportunities for the customer. What we did was we recognized there was objections coming from both sales and warehouse, which is why we weren't able to do this several months ago. So we sat down as a team and we said, okay, what are the objections? One of the objections coming from the warehouse team is your accuracy is terrible. We were at a 20% accuracy, so we were forecasting 10 pre-builts, but we were only selling through 2 of them. Therefore, the warehouse was actually housing this product. So what we did was say, okay, what is something that we can agree on? Well, we decided we could agree that if we could achieve 80% accuracy, that they would go ahead and make these pre-built pallets. So what we did was we designated a PCR. So one of the PCRs met with the warehouse team on Thursdays, and they would actually talk about where are we at right now. So how much have we sold through for the week, and then what do we want to do for next week? I'm really excited to tell you that we have achieved 80% accuracy, and we're working very well with the warehouse team.
So my KDA number 2 was building my financial literacy. So it's really knowing the business cold. So what I've done is I've scheduled monthly one-on-ones with Mike Fink, who is our beverage director of finance here in Calgary. So I've sat down with him, and Mike's gone through some spreadsheets and templates with me, really highlighting where we make money, what products are most profitable for us, how when we look to load in for features, how that correlates, and what we look for break-even points or growth for our 2015 model. I've also sat down with my boss, who's Mark Hess, the director of retail for Western Canada, and we've done some coaching exercises where I'm looking at weekly, monthly, quarterly load-ins and volume reports and break-even points and whatnot, and just getting a better understanding of looking at numbers through the Pepsi beverage lens on a daily basis. So I talked about earlier about looking at volume. When I come to a store, it's really understanding if we're on feature on a 2 for $4, did we load in enough product, and are we loading in the right product to support a feature to break even when we invest in a 2 for $4, and really understanding what that break-even point is, and going down at a more granular level and looking at a store basis, knowing that 20 cases needs to be loaded into a store to offset a 2 for $4, or from a higher level, if we have an aggressive target to grow a Starbucks brand for 2015, what do those weekly, monthly, or quarterly reads look like to hit that double-digit growth?
For me, one of the highlights from LAP has really been around personal development. So oftentimes in our jobs we get caught up in a bunch of different things, but we don't actually sit down and say, what is it that I want to do this year? So one thing that LAP has done for us is just really develop 2 strong goals that we were able to work towards. So leveraging my manager and my mentor, I was able to talk about something specific that I wanted to work on and action against it, and the results have been phenomenal. So for me, it's just been around personal development.
I think it was great that we were able to bring the Frito-Lay and beverage partners together for this year at LAP. I think networking is it's a very powerful tool when we look at critical experiences and what other sales managers or key account managers have done, or some of these struggles they've had, or some of the wins they've had, and really speaking with them on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, and taking some of these best practices and using them yourself, whether with the customers, internally, externally, but again, just really leveraging that networking, whether it be through telephone, email, coffees, dinners, whatever it is. So KDA outlook for balance of year would be leveraging our Better Together platform. In Q4 we have our big Grey Cup Better Together platform that we should be leveraging, as well as December we know that a lot of salty snacks and CSDs are purchased. When we look at the financial piece, it's really leveraging our 591 mil, getting the team to understand driving the 591 mil business as we look to close out the year.
And for balance of year, I'm going to be working with my new manager, Kevin Guthrow, along with Gord, to better understand Tropicana and Gatorade as the new key account manager for Sobeys Western Canada.